It's a wonderful day in General Motors land. So, in the last video, we went over the frame for the 1500. Now, we're going to go over this here. So, this is my dad's K30 project. I don't know if I went over this one or not, but this is a C10 cab. This was a loaded cab. It's got power, AC, all that stuff. 77, that's what year it is, as you can tell by the, what's it called? Yellow trim. So they only did that in 77, as far as I know. The truck came from Arizona. I think the old guy had passed away, and then it was sent to auction. So he simply is not a C10 two-wheel drive kind of guy. So he ended up finding this chassis. I think it was a, what we say is it was a deal. So we can't pass up deals around here. So he had to get this. It sat at my uncle's for a long time. It didn't look like this when he bought it. He ended up tearing it down. This was before I was even into this kind of stuff. So this is probably 3 years ago, I want to say. And he's been slowly putting it together. It was supposed to be our project, and then I started, doing my own thing, and then, yeah, it kind of faded away. So I think, I don't know, we'll try to get it back up to where I'm helping him again with it. Yeah, because I have a K30 as well, and I kind of want to learn with him on this one, and then we can do the same on mine. So it's going to be like, a father-son duo kind of deal. But anyway, this has like I want to say an 8-inch off-road designs lift on it. It's got the hanger flip with the shackle there. Obviously all of these guys were taken off before the frame was painted. Like I said, this is something that we do just to get the rust from underneath them. Let's see, we got the, as you can, even the body mounts look really good. So this frame was actually a Northern frame, I'm assuming, but it just sat forever. So yeah, body mounts are still intact, which is nice. There is, I don't know, this thing's been sitting for some time. When we got it back, I ended up doing like a layer of filler on the rails just to smooth it out a little bit. It probably could use a little bit more filler, but I don't know what his plans are with it. I think it might be fine the way it is. So there's different shock absorber locations. Obviously it's got longer shocks on it. I think this is a two-wheel drive steering box. It's also got a crossover steering kit. I don't know where these are from. So these are like an adjustable hanger that you can put your leaf spring kind of forward or backward, and I think it depends on your leaf spring length. But I know with this, we had to relocate, or I guess move the hooks, just because usually they hang like vertical straight down. But since this hook would hit the new hanger, we ended up having to kind of cock it forward a little bit. So yeah, it'll be pretty cool. I think it'd be pretty sweet if it had some welds on it, but welds are kind of hard to find right now, and they're they're stupid expensive. So I don't think that's the route that he's going to go. But this rear end is also built with a locker in it. It's also got disc brakes, as you can see. It's got the disc brake conversion on it. So this thing sat for so long in that the shop that we have, and the shop does not have any kind of climate control. So that's why a lot of the hardware is all rusty and kind of, jank looking. So I think all that stuff's going to be torn back apart and then re-blasted and then coated, just so it doesn't do that again. So with the C10 being converted to a four-wheel drive, the trans tunnel is slightly different. As you can see, it's quite raised. This is actually out of a K30. So my dad was saying they do sell a rear portion of this tunnel that actually like completes this here. So as you can see, there's a big gap here. The only other option would be to like cut out the actual trans tunnel of a K30 to get that extension. So they should make an extension piece. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. But this thing had some weird like van seats in it. So there's a bunch of miscellaneous holes that got to be filled in. I think on the firewall, there's a little bit of rot. I don't think it's anything too crazy. The floor is still solid, so that's good. It's got the, used to have the dual or 2 gas tanks. So he's gonna fill in this old tank switch and then whatever odds and ends holes that are there. Other than that, it's also got some janky old CB antenna here. So that's gonna get filled in. So the next steps really are to drop the engine and trans onto the chassis and then put the cab on it and then, you know, mock everything up. So the trans is right there. Obviously that's not a Turbo 400. That is a 4L80E and it will be paired to this 6-liter that's been sitting under here. So this 6-liter was built by Fast Time, which I believe they're out of like Chicago. I don't know, they used to build, well, I think he still does. He builds like high horsepower motors pretty much. So like street cars, drag cars. I don't know about Top Fuel, maybe, but I'm not entirely sure. So that motor is supposed to make around 600 horsepower, I believe. And that trans right there will hold it. And well, at least it's built to hold it. And then we'll be adapting an NP205, which is sitting on the workbench over there. So that's got to get rebuilt, resealed, and then after that, it's all got to get dropped into here. So obviously with it being a 6-liter LS, it's not just going to bolt right up. So I'm pretty sure there's a pretty big aftermarket support group for LS swapped square bodies. C10s, K10s, or C-Series, K-Series. All of it I'm pretty sure is pretty much the same. So I want to say there's a little bit of adjustability in the motor mounting location. So yeah, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. It shouldn't take too long. I think there's plenty of stuff out there to make it a lot easier than I guess what it initially seems. So the other thing that I forgot though is that this truck has a Blazer tank on it, which is pretty cool. It gets rid of the dual tanks. And then, yeah, so obviously this had to be fabricated into the frame. And then I want to say that the new filler neck is going to come up through the back inside the bed. So in the bed side and pop out like inside the bed, which means that we would have to shave both gas doors on each side. If he decides to run it just on the driver's side gas door, then we'll just have to shave the passenger side gas door. So luckily on my K30, it's a diesel, which means that it only comes with 1 tank from the factory. So that means that if I wanted to run it to the gas door on the driver's side, I don't have to shave anything on the passenger side because there is only 1 filler neck.